Mr. Speaker, more than 5 years ago, when the government introduced legislation to establish CentrePort, the NDP's minister spoke at second reading about how CentrePort would be a gateway to the world and said, and I quote, fast-track investment and economic decisions. Manitobans are now expressing concern about how what could be Manitoba's jewel is rapidly losing its luster for 2 years without any major investments at all. I ask the Premier, when is he going to deliver on the original vision of fast-track investment and economic decisions?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CentrePort Way is rapidly working its way towards conclusion. A major infrastructure investment in Manitoba, which allows trucking companies and companies that move goods and services out of that area of Winnipeg, in the CentrePort area, to move them around Winnipeg without creating traffic disturbances in Winnipeg. Many private investments have already occurred in the CentrePort area. Many companies have put up buildings there. Many more companies are interested in building there. The project is moving forward. It will be a gateway to North America, both in and out of North America, east, west, north and south. The project is moving forward. It's part of our long-term vision for growing the Manitoba economy, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the fact is that Manitoba's Premier, instead of focusing as he is on liquor and gambling, should actually focus on the economy and jobs.
Is that what you're saying?
Manitobans are well aware that the $250 million has been invested in a road at CentrePort. But right now, there's no development on either side of that road, called Canada Way. Many Manitobans are wondering whether the Premier has built a $240 million road to nowhere. You know, businesses, I understand, are not too keen to establish in an area which is served only by porta potties. I ask the Premier, when will taxpayers actually see a return on investment?
Order, please. The member's time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said in my first question, the CentrePort Way project, about a $250 million investment, financed jointly by the federal government and the provincial government, is rapidly moving towards completion. There have already been millions of dollars of investment by the private sector in land in that area. Facilities have been built. It's a very large site, Mr. Speaker. Some of these, good portion of the site already has services, and so there has been investment occurring out there. There is more investment lined up there for the future, Mr. Speaker. It's a long-term economic development project for Manitoba, reinventing Winnipeg and Manitoba as the gateway not just to the west, but to the south, into the United States, into all the major markets, down into Mexico, up north through Churchill, Manitoba, into Asia and parts of Europe, as well as a supply link into northern development in Manitoba, as well as the rest of Canada, including Nunavut. It has great potential for the future, and we're moving forward on it every single day, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the fact is that the Centreway has no water and no sewer and no buildings along it. The development is gridlocked.
And no future.
The government itself, in fancy words, just as the Premier is saying today, said, and I quote, this is going to be comprehensively planned, functionally integrated, implemented in an efficient and cost-effective manner. And yet the reality is that the Premier must actually accept responsibility for the lack of leadership, for the gridlock and the present impasse. I ask the Premier, who has so far shown rather ineffective leadership in working with the city and with the RM of Rosser, by what date?
Order, please. The member's time has expired.
I thank the member, Mr. Speaker. I can only underline that the project is moving forward. CentrePort Ways continues to be completed, Mr. Speaker. Major infrastructure project. Many companies have already invested in sites over there where they have access to services. Many other companies have identified sites they would like to invest in the future, Mr. Speaker. Jobs are being created every single day as we move forward on this project. We have 3 major railways that have access to Winnipeg, Mr. Speaker. CNR, CPR, Burlington Northern, Santa Fe, all service Winnipeg, all have networks into the United States. We have 5 major trucking companies and many others that provide global services for trucking in and out of North America. We have the Port of Churchill, the only deep-sea port in Western Canada, Mr. Speaker, with a world-class airport that has just opened, and excellent airport facilities in Churchill as well, Mr. Speaker. We have many of the attributes that will be built upon to provide an opportunity to make Manitoba a transportation hub for North America.
Order, please. First minister's time has expired.